people, we get into a certain thing and we feel comfortable with it, and we have a tunnel vision when it comes to it. We won't see other things that's also coming into the fold and stuff. So it is about like that same Nation of Islam mentality back in the day. Muhammad put down certain rudimentary things. Now what that meant was, in scholarship, you'll have a person to put down rudimentary ideas, and it's up for the lay people and the futuristic brothers and sisters to come in, or the people in the future to come in and expound on that through scholarship. Give you an example. You got your Theosophical Society started in 1888. Well, the first doctrines, the secret doctrines and ISIS Unveiled by Blavatsky, they put out these books, these 2 volumes, Secret Doctrines and ISIS Unveiled. I think she died in 1888 or something like that. And they went back in and got a lot of her lectures and pieced them together and put out these 2 mass volumes. From 1888 to 1998, you had a lot of these people coming in with Quest books, Lucius Press, and all these different things that came up out of the Theosophical Society, these several different research groups and book companies, and they had almost 100 years of people coming in and researching, you see, and expounding upon the rudimentary ideas that this woman and her group laid down in the late 1800s. Same thing with Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They put down these rudimentary information. It was left up for scholars to come in and expound upon that. And not just Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We talking about Noble Drew Ali. We talking about Marcus Garvey. We talking about all of them. But too often we have too much. The lay people have such a one-track mind, or this sectarian vision, until they couldn't see that the person who came after the particular visionary was doing the same thing. They were actually, expounding, that they were actually building upon the work. It was like, well, Elijah Muhammad didn't say that. Noble Drew Ali didn't say that. So this is a problem that we have, and now that's the same thing in the Afrocentric movement. I remember back in '94, there was some guy came to the Clark House, the brownstone or whatever they had in Harlem, and it was a guy, he was breaking this particular information down about something that was very advanced. And the people was around the table, they was looking at John Henry Clark, was like, is that right, John Henry Clark? I don't know, hell, ask him. But see, already we always, put this authority on people, you see what I'm saying? And everything is rudimentary. Hell, 20 years from now, or 10 or 5 years from now, my stuff will be rudimentary. You see what I'm saying? Because knowledge is infinite. And whenever you try to bottle it in, it always dies. That's how melanin is. It's the same thing. Whenever you try to trap it, it dies. That's the same thing with any type of conscious thought. Whenever you don't allow the freedom to expand, it dies. It's just like different music, which we're going to get into today, which is simple. It's interesting here. Because there will be a sound that come out to be a new genre, a new vogue in music, and then you might have 2 or 3 pioneers, and you might have 10 copycats.
There you go.
And about 2 or 3 years down the road, the energy, you see what I'm saying, has saturated it and dissipated it, and then it dies out. Then we have to do something else. You see? Well, it's that type of information. I think the scope of knowledge has to expand. And it has to be, and as a matter of fact, always look to the extreme. Now, let me give you an example. There was a guy at Clark Atlanta University back in '98. We was up in Barnes & Noble bookstore talking, and this brother here, he'd been a part of the struggle now. He's not a dead person. This brother been a part of the person, but he was into that protest struggle. That's the model that he came from. That protest type of struggle on the front line. And it wasn't that the brother tried to shut things out. He was like, man, I really like what you're saying, but he said, but I'm having problems, trying to conceive what you're saying. You see, he said, I'm having a problem. I said, that's because you're locked into a certain mode. The blueprint or the archetype that you have chosen to view things, if anything comes outside of that blueprint, or outside of that periphery that you have set for yourself, that particular boundary, anything outside or on the periphery, you can't conceptualize. I say, so do something. Reverse things. I say, for the next month, everything that sounds outlandish and bizarre, accept as truth. I said, even if you just reprogram the mind. I say, accept as true. And And I said about a month later, you would have programmed the mind until you could actually go in and see that some things are very bizarre, but some things are actually creativity. You see, white boys had a conference back in 1986 called, it was a conference they coined melanin as the phrase creative physics. It's a book called Mark Balfour's book, The Sign and the Serpent. Mark Balfour, B-A-L-F-O-R. Mark Balfour. There's a book called The Sign, well, what did I say the first one? The Sign of the Serpent. The Sign and the Serpent is the name of the book. Anyway, they coined this phrase. They took all this particular research dealing with the kundalini, the chakras, the pineal gland, and in so many words they created it. They made a new name, creative physics, because basically they're talking about that's how melanin works, based on the creative aspect. The muse has to keep creating. Once the muse is boxed in and becomes stagnant, the muse just goes dormant. It never dies, but it goes dormant.